and gas resources and have remained poor, that we are also repeating the same thing. If we add value to oil and gas, we'll get fertilizers, we'll get bitumen, we'll get so many plastics. Are you aware that plastics are produced from oil and gas? Plastics. So there goes the solution for you. Integrated bauxite and aluminium, iron and steel, industrial salt. That is where you get caustic soda. For you to be able to treat the water that you drink. We have so much of industrial salt in this country, and yet we are not doing much with it. Then the other one is assembly of electrical and electronic appliances and components. Do you need to import air conditioners? Do you need to import fridges? In the early 60s, we were producing Akasanuma, we were producing Sanyo. These are Ghana, we have actually gone back. The government of national unity is going to restore all that. And I could go on and on, but I cannot conclude on this particular session without talking about the establishment of industrial parks. This magic about Asia, the Asian tigers, is all from industrial estates, industrial parks. And Ghana, we are now going to establish a new industrial city in Ashanti region. And it will be the showpiece of the whole continent of Africa. It's going to become the new manufacturing hub for West Africa. Let me move on because of time. Let me move on to agriculture. In the agricultural sector, we are going to embark on a new agricultural revolution. The economic process. They are all strong, productive sectors. If we are focusing on just these four, by now, Ghana, we will be lending money to the IMF. So under tourism, very quickly, we want to make sure that Ghana becomes the center of tourism in the whole of Africa. Can you imagine that Ghana has 32 out of the 42 UNESCO World Heritage Sites? 32 out of the 42 heritage sites in the whole world. And you can't be the center of tourism. A country that is the center of the world. You know Ghana is the center of the world? You are aware of that? This is where the equator crosses. There's no other country that can make that claim. If it were in another country, by now, that alone can pay for all our bills. So, we are also going to incentivize the private sector to invest in tourism facilities. The government must stop loading upon itself responsibilities that they cannot undertake. Allow the private sector to invest in tourism, and you see the difference. Let me move on quickly. This is the economic cluster. I could go on and on and on, but I want to close with the governance cluster, because this is a critical and integral part of how Ghana can come out of the ditch that we find ourselves. So it's not just about the economic cluster. The level and the cost of corruption alone can significantly turn around our economy if we do the right thing. So to enhance the quality of governance, we propose the following policy solutions. Demonstrate a leadership of personal integrity and political will to fight corruption. And it's not just about you as an individual. You have to have the strength and fairness of character to deal with people who are corrupt around you. It is not enough to say I'm not corrupt, but people around you are corrupt. The next is isolate all corruption-related provisions in existing legislation and consolidate them into one omnibus legislation. That's the only way you can fight corruption. Right now, Studnt says they are dealing with corruption. Yoko is dealing with corruption. Office of Special Prosecutor is dealing with corruption. So who is actually dealing with corruption? Even the definition of corruption is in abeyance. And so we are proposing that we amend the Constitution, not just to consolidate all these legislation that is supposed to be fighting corruption. We'll consolidate that and appoint an anti-corruption czar who will have independent prosecutorial authority, separate from that of the Attorney General. Because we cannot have a special prosecutor who derives his legal authority and power from another person. Gender-based organizations, the private sector, labor unions, and then people with disability. You see, that is the truly representative government. That is what you call an all-inclusive government of national unity. And that is going to happen. Now, the second chamber will be vested with powers of oversight over executive action. The power vested in the president by our constitution allows the presidency to be able to control even institutions that under the constitution are supposed to be independent constitutional bodies. And there will be no checks and balances with those provisions in our constitution. And then also, we will amend Article 66(1) to extend the term of office of the President of the Republic from 4 years to 5 years, and be eligible for re-election for a second term. But under this arrangement, no person shall have the right to be elected as president for more than 2 terms. Establish a national reserve force in our security agencies to be composed of graduates from tertiary institutions who opt after their graduation for a 6-month period of training in the security services. It's not going to be compulsory, but I know what I'm telling you. If we allow that to occur, it's not compulsory. And our young people take the advantage of going through training in the security service. That will be the future of Ghana for you. In our relations with foreign countries, we will adopt the principle of positive neutrality, which is anchored on the strategic interests of Ghana. That comes first. And then, of course, our shared values for humanity, and then for the preservation of peace around the world. And again, the GTP has so many far-reaching policy solutions for our governance architecture. But I promise you that I was going to focus on this economic cluster and then governance. But before I rest my case, otherwise I'm sure I will get into trouble. Let me just close with one or two policy prescriptions in the health sector and in the education sector. Under the social services cluster, particularly the health sector, we are going to undertake a comprehensive assessment of the state of all existing public health infrastructure and facilities across the country. We don't even know the state of the infrastructure we have, and still we are building more. Now, you all know korleBu and Okomfo ANOKYE. True or false? korleBu and Okomfo ANOKYE, Ariel is a medical doctor. They are supposed to be not teaching, just teaching hospitals. They are supposed to be referral hospitals. So you don't go to korleBu with a case of headache. And so we are going to introduce what we call the GP system, general practitioners system, which is based on the primary care model around your own community. Again, in most of the developed economies, everybody has a GP. And the GP is your first point of call before you start even thinking about a referral. It's the GP that will make a referral for you. But in order to maximize the use of the korleBu and Okomfo ANOKYE strategic locations, we are going to reconstruct in a phased approach both korleBu and then Okomfo ANOKYE using private capital. And when this occurs, the kind of teaching and tertiary hospital that you find, you can compare that to any in the rest of the world. But if you have a piecemeal approach to refurbishing wards in korleBu and then Okomfo ANOKYE, you think you are solving the problem? You're not solving the problem. But there's a lot of private capital that is ready to invest in facilities of that nature. On education, the strategic objective of the GTP is to equip children with knowledge and skills that will make them employable and position them for the world of work. How is it that we are training young people and they come out of school and they don't have access to jobs? So what kind of training were we giving to them? What kind of training were we giving to them? And meanwhile, our manufacturing companies are complaining that they don't have the right kind of staff. Now, we will conduct a comprehensive review of the free SHS program with a view to improving its operationalization, but based on the following. 1, financial sustainability of the program. 2, the infrastructural requirements. 3, the curriculum development that we ought to be promoting under the free SHS. 4, capacity building of teachers and non-teaching staff. And last but not the least, transitioning 3 SHS graduates who come from the tertiary institutions or who will be going to the tertiary institutions, transitioning them into the field or the world of work. So our review of the 3 SHS, because there has been no comprehensive review now, it will not be appropriate for me to talk about specific measures. When the review occurs, we'll know what to do with 3 SHS. Then, institute, listen to this, institute a compulsory certified program of apprenticeship and internship for all SHS students and students from the technical and vocational school graduates. It has to be a compulsory apprenticeship and internship. Many of the young people who come out of school in Europe, in the United States, the reason why they become employable is that either whilst they are in school or when they come out, they've already had the experience of working in a particular industry or the other. And then, last but not the least, we would also introduce a compulsory program for professional attachment in relevant institutions, organizations, and companies for those who are now graduating from the tertiary institutions. So the first one I talked about is for 3 SHS graduates, and this one is for the tertiary graduates. Now, I'll just make one comment on youth, on the youth. This basically is at the heart of the GDP. But again, because of time limitation, I'll just introduce one of the policy initiatives. Design and implement a comprehensive national program for graduates of all tertiary institutions to start their own small business with a grant from government under a new program called the Start Your Own Business. There are many high-profile entrepreneurs in this country who have passed through my hands. I won't mention names, but I know what support to entrepreneurs at the early stage can do for our private sector. So, how is it that we are expecting people who are coming out of the tertiary institutions, 300,000 graduating every year, adding to the stock that already exists? Meanwhile, the public sector cannot employ more than 700,000 people, and it's already shown. So we must not be thinking, all these people who are coming out, where do you think they are going to be employed? I can tell you, don't be deceived. It ain't going to happen unless we make sure, right from the beginning when they come out of schools, it is government responsibility to give them grant funding to start their own business. Look, all the people we are celebrating in this country, name them: Facebook owner, Microsoft, all of them. Some of them actually left school without completing. But because of the support that the US government grants to them, they've been able to move from where they started as young people to where they are now. I can say this with authority, because I'm sure by now, even at the risk of sounding boastful, I'm sure you're aware that in 1994, when they were looking for the 100 global leaders of the future, only 100 people in the whole world, they mentioned first Bill Gates, they mentioned John F. Kennedy Jr., they mentioned Condoleezza Rice, and those of you who know development economics, they mentioned Jeffrey Sachs, and they mentioned Alexander Martin. Ladies and gentlemen, I've paid my dues. Now, in conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, there's a brighter future for Ghana and for all Ghanaians with the adoption and execution of this great transformational plan. I want you gathered here and the people of Ghana to make me the next president of the Republic of Ghana. To make me the next president of the Republic of Ghana, and Ghana will rise again. So, I thank you sincerely for your presence here and your very kind attention. May God bless our homeland Ghana and make our nation great and strong. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with those remarks, I have the honor and privilege of formally launching the great transformational plan. Please, you can sit.
Please take your seat. Thank you. Choboy. Yeah. Oh yeah. Landeba. Alan Chematia na yedim. Alan Chematia na yedim. Please take your seats.
Shall we resume our seats, please?
Yes, and let all be patient. We are going to have copies of the great transformational plan.
And everyone will get a copy before you leave here, so be patient, it will get to you. Please resume your seats and let's proceed.
Exactly so. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I'd like to take the single opportunity to as well acknowledge the presence of Bafo Dr. Osei Shiaman Bretio II. Okomfo Marie Hene, he's here with us. A round of applause for Bafo Dr. Osei Shiaman Bretio II. Nana, you're most welcome. He is the former board chair for Ghana Export Development Investment Fund. Nana, we are highly grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, as well, we have in our midst the anchors representing the Great Alliance and representing the movement for change across all 16 regions of Ghana. And in no due order, may I take the respectful chance and opportunity to acknowledge all of them. Please, can we have some silence in the auditorium? Can you give us a wave if we mention your region? So we begin with the national capital. We have anchors for movement for change representing the Greater Accra region. Are you here?
Yes.
Please resume your seat. We are introducing the regional anchors for the campaign. So please can you give us a wave if you hear your region, and then as well if you are well represented. Greater Accra regional anchors, are you here? Coordinators. Eastern regional anchors, are you here with us? Please give us a wave if you are here with us.
If you're here, just give us a wave. Right.
Thank you. Volta regional anchors, are you here with us? A round of applause for them. OT regional anchors are here with us this afternoon. You are clearly